Shamaya, you did it.
STL Music.
Welcome back to the show. Yo, listen up, we back in the game. Sweep the league, we got the flame. Motivated to the fullest every single day. We wake up, get it in every way. Right from the 222 and the global inspiration. Talk this sports and top news, no hesitation. Sweep the league is back. We always coming back, that's a fact. Wanna tell them that STL Music, mama, we did it, where we at? Coach Jill in the house with the flow so tight. Every rubber rocks, that's we unite. Yeah, the best show, Monday through Friday. If this ain't different, they lying. We got the energy. When I say sweep, you say the league. Sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league, sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. Sweep the league. San Antonio, let's go.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sweep the League. It is the Fun Friday edition of Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr. going to be joined by a full panel tonight. We're going to have Hall of Famer Derek Gervin. Again, he goes into the UTSA Hall of Fame. October 19th is the night. October 18th, 19th, and 20th. They're going to celebrate him all weekend. UTSA Hall of Fame. Hall of Famer Derek Gervin. Coach Gio is going to be joining us as well. Plus, we have a very, very, very special guest. We're going to introduce him here in just a second. We promised you guys we'd be getting guests, and we finally got our first guest on right now. We'll be getting to him in just a second here. But first and foremost, as everybody knows, I am a Tar Heel, fan, been one forever. Today, the world of basketball, just not the Tar Heel world, but the world of basketball lost a great person today in Joe Wolf. He played for UNC from 1983 to 1987. One of the good guys in the game of basketball. So from Sweep the League, everybody here, prayers out to Joe Wolf and his family. Again, Joe Wolf did pass away. He had an NBA career. I think he had a basketball career span of over 37 years, which was coaching as a player, just a really good guy in the game. So again, prayers out to Joe Wolf out there, gone way too soon. So yeah, prayers out to Joe Wolf. But nonetheless, we're going to move on with the show tonight. We've got a very special guest. Let me bring on the Hall of Famer first here. It's going to be Derek Gervin, also Coach Gio. Guys, we're not going to waste any time right now. We're going to bring on our guest because we have a lot to get into. This guest right here, most famous, and for me, is the kiss of death. And we've seen it, throughout his career as a Houston Rocket mainly, and also as a San Antonio Spur. Blowing that kiss. I know when I played basketball, I think I did it one time and I got benched. And I don't know if I did it with Keith Edmondson, Derek. It might have been during the Edmondson time frame, but when you get Keith on the show, don't remind him, because there's a lot of stuff that Keith was telling me not to do, and I did it anyway. So we can't get into that, man. Nonetheless, let's bring him on. It is 3-time NBA champion, Mario Elie. Mario, I appreciate you joining us here on Sweep the League, sir. How are you doing today?
Life is good. It's good to see my old friend Derek. Me and Derek had our battles in the CBA. Remember playing Derek up in Santa Barbara. We had a nice team out there, man. Had a real good team out there. So good to talk basketball.
Yeah, for sure. And, maybe you can kill the rumor for us. Derek said he had one time had 100 points in the first half of a game. I haven't found that evidence yet, but maybe you can dispel or make that rumor true here.
I haven't heard about that either, but when you have that name, Gervin, I won't be surprised, because Iceman was one of my favorite players growing up. And like every kid always said, for me, it was true. He was my first poster on my wall. Him sitting on the ice with the silver balls, man.
Have you ever tried to recreate that poster in any way?
You can't recreate that. That's every poster. Every kid growing up hooping had that, especially in my city. Me growing up in New York, we were big George Gervin fans.
Oh yeah, yeah. I no doubt about it. I tried recreating it one time, but back in the day, I weighed a lot, so I had two pizzas like this, and I was sitting on the chair, but I couldn't recreate Ice's poster at all by doing that, man. So let me get into the guys here.
I had the great posters back then. They had the best.
Oh,
Moses Malone, yeah, they were some great.
Moses Malone with partner Red. Nike had it going on back then, man. Loved the posters back then.
For sure. I think one of the more iconic, I don't think it was ever a poster, but one of the more iconic pictures was George and Magic, right? I mean, just,
That's Sports Illustrated. But Rudy, Mario, closer to my age, we had a thing, they had a poster called the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Oh, man. I got to check that
out.
All
the guys had like Supreme Court with their Nikes on. It was off the hook how they hooked all the stars up back then. It was real nice.
Oh man, see, I gotta look that up now. I gotta look that up.
Look at all them posters, man. Them Nike posters. They had a lot of good posters.
They gotta be selling. I mean, it's the internet days now. They've got to be selling a lot of this stuff on Amazon or somewhere. I mean, I'm an old man, so I don't know a lot of this tech stuff. So I just get my daughter to look up some of these posters for me, and maybe I'll buy them one day if I can get lucky enough to find them. Coach Gio, man, you doing all right, Gio?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was going through some technical difficulties, but appreciate Mario coming on. I remember him so many of those playoff games. A playoff warrior is what I once heard, and that was the truth.
He's the man. Hey, Rudy, I want to start because I know we only have an hour. Hey, Mario, I want to go back how it all started. Power Memorial High School. And a lot of people don't even know that. Everybody hears about Lou Alcindor, Power Memorial. There's a guy named Mario Elie, Power Memorial. Tell what even got you started and made you want to. I know you loved the game of basketball, but at what point did you start thinking that this might be something that you might want to do for a living?
Well, I was a late bloomer. It started high school, growing up in New York. I was a big baseball guy, I grew up, in New York, you have like you grew up with a diverse group of people. So I had Spanish, white, black, and that was a great thing to grow up in New York. And most of my friends were Spanish. So they would like baseball. So baseball was really my first sport. But my older brother, God bless him, he's not with us no more. He was a very good basketball player, street basketball player growing up in New York. So once he put that basketball in my hand as a ninth grader, I fell in love with it, played all the time, got better every year, got stronger every year. And I made a decision as a young man, this is what I want to do for a living.
Perfect. We're talking to three-time NBA champion Mario Elie here on Sweep the League. Mario, a lot of people in San Antonio, we remember you as a Houston Rocket for the success you had with, the Houston Rockets coming to San Antonio, helping lead the Spurs to their first championship as well with Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Sean Elliott. So out of those titles, I know you played with great centers. You played with the Dream. You played with the Admiral. You played with Tim Duncan. Looking at those three guys, how does it feel for like a guard play when it comes to a guard playing with big men like that? Is the game a lot more easier for you? Does it flow better knowing you have skilled big men like that?
Yeah, you got to know your personnel. And I tell guys, you have stars in the league. You have to find a role. When you go to a team, there's guys that are established. So when I went to the Spurs, Tim and Dave were the guys. So I knew I was a great defender, and I would put a lot of pressure at guys knowing I had 2 7-footers protecting me at the basket. So those guys made me a better defender. Those guys allowed me to get open shots, especially Tim. Tim Duncan was just a young animal. Dave was sort of winding down in his career. And it was a great in 99 sort of watching David Robinson sort of pass the torch to Duncan and telling him, you're the lead dog. Whatever you need from me, I will be there. It was a beautiful thing to watch. coming from one of the 50 greatest players to ever play in David Robinson. That says a lot about his character.
Yeah, that was again, for San Antonio, memorable time, 99. I mean, the first title. We all remember Avery hitting it from the corner in New York. I mean, that moment will live in, Spurs history forever. I want to ask you about the coaches, but I'm going to ask you that a little bit later, because leading up to that 99 title, everybody talks about the Memorial Day miracle shot. Sean Elliott tiptoeing, all along the baseline, getting it over Rasheed. But what they don't talk about is something that I've talked about with Derek, and it's the pass, the inbound pass.
Thank you
to Sean Elliott, because
man, get a pass and some credit.
Sean doesn't hit that shot without that pass.
Well,
it's got to be money.
But if you see the whole thing, Stacey Augmon, they stepped out of bounds, so he knew the play was coming.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who was guarding the out of bounds guy, but I knew Augmon was on Elliott, and he sort of read the play. So I had to put a little extra mustard on the pass because he went for the steal. Bad play by a defender, went for the steal.
Yeah.
And if Sean Elliott was 6'5", that shot would have been blocked. But he was 6'8" and just barely got it over Rasheed Wallace's fingertips by maybe a hair nail.
Yeah.
And almost stepped out of bounds. I mean, everything about that shot crazy. It was our first lead of the game with 12 seconds left. So once we beat them in that game, once we beat Portland in that game too, they were toast. We went up there and smacked them up real quick up in Portland. But once we beat them, as a playoff warrior, when you sort of take a team's heart, it's like when I played with the Rockets in '95. We beat the Magic that first game in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of knew we had them. And it was the same situation with the Blazers in '99. They had a 20-point lead. They were kicking our butt. We walked them down. We beat them. And the way we beat them, and you could see their body language after the game. And Derek could tell you, when you beat a team in a close game, hard-fought game, you could tell when you had somebody. And I felt after Sean shot, that really took the winds out of the Blazers' sails.
Yeah, it did. We're talking to Mario Elie, 3-time NBA champion. Coach G, I'm going to do the I can't do the pass to you as good as Mario did, but I'm going to attempt to pass this question over to you here.
Quick question. A little bit back on 95, you were down 3-1 against the Suns. Talk a little bit about that series real quick, because being down 3-1 in a series nowadays seems like it's pretty much going to be over. But talk about the mindset going into a game, I think game 5, trying to extend that series and ultimately knocking the Suns out of the playoffs.
Well, people don't know a lot of things went on in that playoffs. Our third best player, Vernon Maxwell, sort of left the team in the first round after the second shot. So that was a distraction. And like you mentioned, that game 5, we didn't know if Clyde Drexler was going to play because he was at the Suns hotel with a 110-degree temperature. And here comes Clyde pulling up 35 minutes before the game, looking like SIHT. I can't say it on.
It's our show.
But looking like shit. So, and we said, how is this guy going to do anything? But his presence and how he was feeling really lifted our team. And we went on and beat him in overtime that game 5. We smacked him at home in game 6. And then your boy in game 7 blew him to send him to the crib. And Barkley ready to retire. We just had a mentally tough group, man. We've been through the wars. We won the year before. We weren't afraid of being on the road. I mean, when you got 2 of the greatest players to ever play in Olajuwon and Drexler, you always have a chance to win. And Clyde doesn't get enough credit how good he was. People downplay him. I'm tired of hearing of Dwayne Wade and all these guys.
Yeah.
Search on Clyde Drexler on how good he was.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Blazer team to the championship 2 years in a row in the Larry Bird era, Michael Jordan era, Isaiah Thomas era. All those guys in their prime. So
yeah, those Blazers teams, they were talented. I mean, you had a roster, not just the Blazers, obviously, but so many other teams in the 90s and 80s that people tend to forget about. And, we talked about in this show about people on certain social media outlets saying, let's forget about the 90s or the 80s. Man, people just don't watch the film.
Yes, they need to do. You got to know your history of the game. You know, they talk no athleticism. Man, they see Sean Kemp play. Did they see Grant Hill play?
No.
They see Kobe Bryant play. Glenn Rice, Jamar Mashburn, Jimmy Jackson, Jason, Harry Payton, Paul Malone, John Stockton. I mean, Kevin
Mullen,
Charles Barkley. I mean, how can I do your research? I hate when guys just speak out the side of their mouth. Know what you're talking about. Because the 90s, man, probably the best era of NBA basketball ever. You know, I may be forgetting a bunch of guys as well. You know, Tracy McGrady. I mean, it goes on and on, all the great players. And like you mentioned, the teams were good. You see the league now, there's only a handful of good teams.
Yeah.
Back in those days, you had good big men. You got good guard play. You played inside out. You talk about you wasn't skilled. The game was physical, so you had to create space to get away from guys in order to create shots. That's why
everyone knew their roles, right? Everyone knew what their role was.
Yeah, and we in offense, not like nowadays. It's open pick and roll, attack the switch, attack the mismatch. We actually ran offense in the 90s. Ball was moving side to side. We knew where to get our bigs the ball, a pin down for a shooter. We ran offense. You had to guard offense. Now you just got to guard the pick and roll. If they switch, you got to be ready to guard mismatches. That's where our game is at. And everybody's shooting threes. I don't understand. If you're not a shooter, don't shoot a damn three. Shoot the highest percentage shot, is my opinion.
That's the way we feel too.
I want to go back a little bit first. First, I wanted to say Clyde Drexler. I'm glad you brought him up. My first 2 games of college was in the Houston Kettle Classic. And I know Gio and Rudy younger than us. But you know very well about Guy Lewis and the Phi Slamma Jam. My first 2 games, University of Texas San Antonio, was in a tournament with Lamar, University of Arizona, and University of Houston. And, you know, that's when Dream had a little temper. But it's amazing that people don't talk more. You know, they talk about the University of Michigan today, the Fab Five. They talk about Christian Laettner and Grant Hill and those guys, Ewing and Georgetown. But people need to do their research on Phi Slamma Jamma, because I saw it up live and close, up live and personal. Clyde Drexler was a phenomenal player. And as you know, they don't talk about it, but he played on both ends. And I thought that was fantastic. But for you to give him love, he ended up coaching George Gervin Jr. for 3 years, you know, at the University of Houston. So I have a lot of love for Clyde. And to see him still, you know, being the commissioner of the Big Three today, I'm glad that he's getting his love. But I just wish the young people would go back and do their due diligence and really check that man out. The guy that played on both ends of the ball. He never tried to really compete. He didn't try to be the next Michael Jordan. He was Clyde Drexler. He's his own man. And that's what I want people to remember about Clyde when you talk about the game of basketball.
No question, man. And I will put my money on anything that the greatest college basketball game ever played was Louisville against Houston. It may have been 30 freaking dunks that game. I mean, it was just highlight after highlight. Lancaster Gordon, Benny Anders, Clyde, the McRae brothers. I mean, that was an amazing college. The athleticism on that floor wasn't no layups. Any of those guys getting in the basket, they were dunking it. It was like 15, 20 dunks that game, that Louisville U of H game.
Poncho Wright.
Yeah.
Jumping Poncho, who I still talk to today.
Larry Mishaw, all these guys they had, man. And you said it, Derek, that they had a fraternity. These dudes that people come see their layup line before their game. That's how popular that team was. So I'm with you. They don't get enough credit how good of a college basketball team. Especially like you said, Michigan lost as well. Houston went to the finals a couple times. I know they lost, but I know everybody likes the Fab Five with the long shorts. But the first original team that put on a show was definitely that Houston Phi Slamma Jamma.
To put on a note on Derek, what he said about Clyde, you know, I started seeing some of the hate after the Last Dance doc came out, and they had a segment of MJ and Clyde, and I think people started to really start just saying wild things. And look, we obviously know MJ's a great player, but Clyde in his prime was also a great player as well. Two things can be right, and I think a lot of that stuff started coming out towards the end of that Last Dance doc, and people just started saying some of the most outrageous things about a former great NBA player. So just add a note to what Derek was saying there.
He'll have Anthony Edwards for lunch. I heard an older veteran, Eddie Johnson, say that, and I'm saying it as well. Anthony has to wait his turn. These young guys, though, Clyde to have him for lunch, man. Clyde's all pro. And Clyde did it year after year after year.
I agree.
It's too small for Clyde. Anthony Edwards is 6'4", 6'5". Clyde's 6'7". Clyde is a massive human being, and the stuff he can do. Top 10 in steals all time. He's 9th in steals in NBA history. 9th, along with 20,000 points. He's a champion. Name a bunch of two guards who went to the finals 3 times.
Clyde Drexler.
Drexler's one.
Derek, you mentioned the perfect thing. He played both ends. That's what I like about 90s basketball. Guys play both ends of the floor. You seeing games now, these dudes ain't playing no damn defense. I mean, I know Luka Doncic is a great player, but they put him in pick and rolls for a reason, right? Because he can't guard. He can't guard. He's always got his hands up like he never fouled. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. You got your hands up. Get your ass back on defense. What about that?
Yeah, there you go.
So love a lot of these good young players. Like I know they talk this about Steph Curry, but Steph Curry plays one end of the floor. Klay Thompson was guarding his matchups in his prime.
Klay played both ends. Yeah.
It's Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas, to me, are my 2 favorite point guards in history. Isaiah Thomas, I know he's an asshole to the Bulls not shaking their hand, but that man is the second greatest point guard I ever seen in my life.
Do you put Oscar in there? Because I don't know, Oscar, do you consider a point guard or?
And see, that's where I'm getting problems with, like Lillard and Curry. I mean, when's the last time Curry had an 18-assist game? Magic was doing that on the regular. Isaiah was scoring and doing that. I love Steph. Steph is the greatest shooter, but you got to show me assists, and do you guard your position? He don't do those 2 things. Great player, not taking none from Steph. All-time great. But that's how I judge greatness. What you do, what I saw Isaiah Thomas do and Magic do, and Jordan and those guys do. I mean, Jordan, 9-10 years, all defensive team, we took pride in guarding our position in the 90s, That's
Mario, before Rudy asked you, would you tell these guys, because I want Gio and them to be a little more familiar with you, tell them about when we the CBA days and how you end up getting to the NBA and playing for a guy in Albany who your coach was, so these guys kind of know your history coming to the NBA.
Well, I played at CBA a year and a half. I was blessed the second year to have like 2 future NBA coaches, George Karl and Terry Stotts. Those were my 2 coaches my second year in the league. And George saw something in me. He saw something in me. And my confidence was high from the year before because I played well. But really coming to this year, Derek, our team was a juggernaut that year. We went 50-6. We only lost 6 games, but half of our team would go to the NBA. We were getting called up quite a bit. But George saw something in me. He put the ball in my hands. And me and my man Askew, we were really scoring the ball at a high level for Albany. We were beating a lot of teams. So I was getting a lot of notoriety. So I felt that year I was going to get a call up. And in December, I did get my first call up. People don't know. Everybody always talk about Golden State. My first call up was to the Sixers during Christmas. So I get to meet Gene Shue. I was home for Christmas break. I get a call from my agent say, hey, Philly want to sign you to 10 days. So very excited about that. Philly was on a West Coast trip. And I had to fly through Atlanta to go to Phoenix. So first NBA game ever. All excited. I get to Atlanta. I get fogged in Atlanta. So I take it to Phoenix for shoot around. So as God is my witness, my mom and dad are dead. I call the hotel where the Suns are staying at, and Barkley answers the freaking phone. I swear to God. I'm this dude in the lobby. You know, if you know Barkley, he's a clown. He's always messing with people. I said, "This is Charles Barkley." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Charles, I'm the new guy on the team. I got fired there." He said, "No problem, man. We'll see you tomorrow. I tell Coach you're gonna be in tomorrow." That's one of the freaking coolest moments for me. I get to Phoenix the next morning, go to shoot around, meet the players. All the guys were great. Manu Bowe, Jason Williams. It was a bad Philly team. I see why Charles wanted to get the hell out of Philly. They were terrible. Playing the Suns. We playing the Suns. Tom Chambers, Barkley. I see my number 8 uniform in there. I'm so excited. We getting our butts blown out. And I finally get in the last 2 minutes of the game. But the one thing, guys, I can tell you I remember from that game is fucking Barkley getting 45 points and destroying Tom Chambers. I said, dude is a little bit taller than me. He's that good of a player, rebounder. He was just amazing that night. I'm like, that dude is the real deal, Barkley. And I think the next year or two, he ends up going to Phoenix. So I started in Philly, played a couple games. They made a trade. I ended up getting cut, but my confidence level was high. Went back to the CBA, was getting 30 a night. I mean, I couldn't be guarded. Then I got called up by the Warriors. And it was like the Eminem movie. You got one chance. Don Nelson brings me in his room. He said, "I'm going to play you 25 minutes tonight, son. You got to show me what you got to do." So I ended up getting 15 points and 11 rebounds. I had a double-double. And the rest is history. I ended up signing that year, the following year. And that's sort of how my NBA career started. Real quick, I want to explain. Derek would know. Back in our day, when we got called up from the CBA, we played 20, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Not like these G League guys who come up to fill roster spots. These guys from the G League don't come up and play like we did. When we got called up back in the day, you were getting thrown in the fire. You were getting 20, 25 minutes. Tell them, D. Dudes hurt. They need bodies. They need. Yeah. So I remember Don Nelson threw me in the fire. He's like, "Dude, you playing." So that's what I like about our days in the CBA compared to now. We play
George Karl, Rudy Tomjanovich, Don Nelson, Greg Popovich. I mean, damn.
Rick Adelman.
Ooh, Rick Adelman.
Scott Skiles, my last year in my last year in Phoenix, he was there with me. But great coaches, like you mentioned,
and Terry. I can't leave Terry out because he was my first assistant coach. You remember Gerald Oliver?
That's my guy. That was
Fort Wayne. When I went to Fort Wayne, was my first team CBA. Gerald was the head coach, and Terry Stodge was the assistant. And even then, Terry and George Karl were best friends, and you know they traveled everywhere together. Yeah, so I'm just trying to give you guys some knowledge about, hey, I tell Gio, because Gio, what are you like, 34, 35, 34?
Yeah, sometimes I forget, but I believe I'm 30.
Mario, tell them in the 35. CBA, and I've told people this story, you could get traded at halftime.
Dude.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Super 8 hotel. We get $20 a day to eat. Me and my boy is stealing tips off of Bob Evans. We stealing off the table. We eat hot dogs and McDonald's pregame meals. I mean, hungry, starving. You know, we were starving little country towns. Well, you go to these like La Crosse, Wisconsin, you feel like you're in the NBA at least.
La Crosse, yeah, my city.
Now Rapid City, Wichita Falls, Auburn. Yeah. I mean, Sioux Falls. I mean, I never been to South Dakota. I'm like, damn, they got what's South Dakota? I'm like, you know, I'm from New York City. You know, they had 2 teams in South Dakota, Sioux Falls and Rapid City. Do you know, guys? Derek would know. I'm asking you guys a trivia. Do you guys know what's in Rapid City, South Dakota?
I have no idea.
South Dakota. The president's heads, man. The president
It's the five presidents. The
Yeah. President's Head. That's in Rapid City.
monuments.
Mount
Yes.
Rushmore,
yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mount-
Mount Rushmore. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's where it is. It's in Rapid City. Some person, yo, I'm like, can't do it, Rapid City. He said the president's head's out here, right out there looking at it. It was pretty cool. So
You couldn't
Wow.
look at it long because if it was wintertime, it's one of the coldest states. Man.
We're talking to a 3-time NBA champion, Mario Elie. And I'm going to throw, because you talk about CBA All-Star in 1990, all CBA first team in 91. So, yeah, definitely great of the game here. Mario, I want to talk to you because you mentioned about head coaches here. You played under some of the best head coaches in the NBA period, which obviously is attributed to your coaching career after being assistant coach for the Spurs, Warriors, Mavericks, Kings, the Nets, and the Magic. You know, playing for coaches like that, Pop, Tom Janovich, to say a few. How does something like that prepare you just going into coaching for the NBA?
those guys prepare you. And also, when you're a role player, I wasn't as talented as, some of these guys are playing. I sort of had to think the game. I had to prepare differently because I wasn't athletic and gifted as some of these guys. So you see some of the great coaches, Rick Adelman, Pat Riley, these guys were all role players, Phil Jackson. So when you're a role player, you have to think the game a little bit more than a talented guy because they go on instinct, athleticism. I didn't have all that. So I sort of had to think. I always had to guard the best guy on the team. So I had to watch a lot of film. I'm guarding MJ, I'm guarding Magic, I'm guarding some of the greats, of all time. So that sort of prepared me for my coaching sign. And what was cool when I retired, R.C. Buford was from the Spurs reached out to me and invited me to training camp. And, that's why I sort of sparked my interest in coaching. Then the following year, I think Mike Brown went to Indiana and Popovich called me and said, I got a spot for you. And that's how my coaching career all started, thanks to R.C. Buford and Coach Popovich.
Quick question, Mario. In 99 is the lockout year. Spurs kind of started off a bit slow. What was it like coming out after that lockout? A team obviously wasn't looking like a championship at the moment, but what was the change back in 99? What flipped?
Well, when I got to the team, I told Avery Johnson, I think Jaren Jackson was the starter at the time. I told Avery Johnson, give me 2.5, 3 weeks. That starting job's going to be mine, right? So we start off 6-8. Popovich's head is on the guillotine. They ready to fire his ass. So they come in, Pop Cummins the next day, said we making a change in the starting lineup. They put me in the starting lineup. We win 16 games, I think. We win like 16 games in a row. Big game against Utah. Tim Duncan dominates Karl Malone. Then we go on and win the West. And then we go on to the playoffs and have an amazing playoff run. So it
Go ahead.
Championship experience coming from Houston. And I took a lot of flack early in the season because I felt David Robinson and Tim Duncan weren't playing up to their capability. And, the San Antonio Express really hammered me. Say, oh, these are the nicest guys. Why is this guy getting on them? But when we won the championship, the first phone call I got was from Greg Popovich thanking me for challenging those two guys. I had the credibility coming to that team, winning 2 championships, and became sort of one of the leaders on the team. So those guys were great guys. They allowed me to be myself, and they listened. They listened, and we won that first one, and Spurs went on and won 4 after that. So it was great to be part of the first one.
Hey, Mario,
Wow.
three guards real quick that nobody wanted to mess with. Like Mario Elie, Vernon Maxwell, Alvin Robertson.
How did I know you were going to say that? Those 3 guys, definitely.
Mad Max.
I got to get Al first, Vernon second. You talk about some warriors, some great defenders, some great competitors. Great name there, Derek. I tell everybody, y'all better Google Alvin Robinson, how good he was. How good that dude was, man. I mean, defensively, the strength, guys were scared to play against him. He was tough. I mean, what a great player, man. What a great player.
Rudy, for you and Gio know, Alvin's the one that was brought in, and I never had a problem with it. We've been friends, and we're still friends today. Well, you know, Rudy,
Yeah.
we still talk. Alvin was brought in to replace my brother. Cotton Fitzsimmons was the coach at the time. And so they brought him in. So Georgia's minutes went down in his last year in San Antonio, and it was because of Alvin. And then, you know, after that, Alvin became an all-star playing with Johnny Moore in the backcourt. But, yeah, I had to bring you three guys up because you, Vern, all you three guys are still special to me. And when you can get guys like Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon to listen to you guys, man, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, that was the great thing about that. Guys respected because they knew how I worked. They knew how I competed. And Dream saw that. Tim and Dave saw that. And we're all still friends to this day. And it's great. That's the great thing about winning a championship. And when I go to San Antonio, just last year, going there to get scouting, it's all love, man. I mean, my first preseason game last year, my first Spurs preseason game, the PR guy comes to me and says, Popovich is going to take a timeout and he's going to point and acknowledge you. And for a guy at his caliber to understand what I brought to the first team, I wasn't a superstar on that team, but he understood my role and the respect he has for me still to this day means a lot, coming from a Hall of Fame coach like that. And every time I go there, it's love. You know, Will Seven in the trainer was a trainer there when they hugged me. They loved seeing me. So
Tom James
coming looking at that 99 banner, coming in the building, and still the workers there recognize me. So it's all.
You remember Tom James?
That's my guy.
Because I remember Tom used to get the Spurs uniform. Tom was the guy who did the laundry stuff, took it to the laundry mats. And so I used to run into him at the laundromat with a whole bunch of Spurs gear.
And I'm so happy for their success, man. They're great people. And like I said, still to this day, it's been 20-some years since I played for them. And it's love all the time. Gracie and RC still got some of the same people working for them. That's why Spurs are one of the best organizations in sports. They get it. They get it. When guys leave, they bring guys back. They don't never forget about players. And it's always love. It was great going back to the 50th anniversary last year. Had a great time, showed me a lot of love. So always have respect for that organization.
And we know for a fact that Spurs fans all over, when we talk about 99, they always mention, you in those comments and, the fan reactions, because it always takes something when it comes to championship teams, especially in the 90s, early 2000s. It takes that one player that can get on each guy on the locker room, can, be on their ass, make sure they're in the right position, just be a true floor leader. And every time they mention 99, you're the name that always comes up. And it's always, if we didn't have Mario, then we probably don't win that title. So yeah, you give Tim, we give David, these are the guys, but it's the hard work guys. It's the leadership guys like you for the 99 team that actually gave us the taste of our first NBA title.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell guys when I talk to young guys, it's all right to be a role player. You make a great living being a role player. You got to understand when you go to NBA, you got established guys there. So you got to fit around the stars. That's your job, is to fit around the stars. And I was blessed to play with three of the greatest big men ever. I mean, you could throw Barkley in there, even though I caught Barkley towards the end of career. I mean, I played with four of the greatest forwards/centers ever, and they made my life easy. And great people. I mean, we friends all still to this day. Talked to my buddy Sam Cassell the other day. When you accomplish something like that, I mean, it's a lifetime. It's great to see Sean Elliott doing TV still for the Spurs. So when I go to the games, I sit and talk to my boy. 5-0, and I see 5-0, he gives me a big hug. So it's always good. And me and Avery talk all the time, the little general. So me and him talk all the time. So when you accomplish something like that, it builds a great bond. And when you talk about it, I can remember everything like yesterday. I mean, it's great when you win. You remember the memories, the tough times, like you mentioned, Derek. Down 20 to this tough Portland team. Rasheed, Sabonis, Brian Grant. That was their front line. They had 6'10", 7 foot, 7 foot. You got J.R. Ryder. You got Greg Anthony. You got Damon Stoudemire. You got Jimmy Jackson. They had Walt Williams. They were stacked. I'm like, how are we going to beat
them?
But we figured out how to beat them, man. It was crazy.
In the series before, remember, they just beat the Jazz, right? Took out the Jazz in that series, a physical series, and.
But me being a vet, they celebrated beating them like they won a championship. I said, hey, we got these young boys. They celebrating like they won already. You know, they had their shirts off, jumping at half court. Y'all remember that celebration? I'm like, y'all got 2 more rounds to go. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. So I called Avery. I said, Avery, we got these young boys, man. They think they done made it already because they couldn't get past the Jazz, and they finally got past them. I said, you don't celebrate right now.
Hey, Mario, didn't we see that happen this past year with Minnesota Timberwolves? They knocked off the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
Same attitude, celebrating like they had already won the championship. Then you got nothing left when you go in the next series.
Exactly. It's a grind, man. It's a mental grind. So when I saw them celebrate, I'm like, yeah, we got these boys. They high on the horse. And like I told you, once we broke them that game too, I mean, we swept Shaq and Kobe the series before, and then we swept these young boys.
Yeah.
That don't get talked about enough. I mean,
that doesn't.
Shaq and Kobe. And we shut the forum down in 99. I know your boy.
Yes, sir.
I'm the one that said it. Yeah, we shut the forum down and swept them boys.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all sure did. You know, I want to still talk basketball, but I want to talk a little, not off court, but a little celebration because it's a great transition going from Portland celebrating beating Utah to the ultimate celebration where I actually had a fan ask me today when they said, hey, we're going to have Mario on. Oh, ask him this for me. I'll say, oh, I'll ask him for you. He wants to know, where did the kiss of death come from?
It started, me and Joe Klein started talking mess, during the series.
Mm-hmm.
So he make a basket, he blow a kiss, I make a blast, and I throw a kiss at him. It sort of started game 5. But, I got the ultimate kiss, and that's the guy who I was looking at when I hit this shot. I turned around and blew the son's the kiss of death. I look at Joe Klein. He was over there turning red as an apple. I was loving it. And Dick Bavetta said, Mario, that's taunting. I could have called the tech on you. I'm like, whatever, man. Whatever. I'll wait.
Joe, one of the strongest guys ever played. I played against him in college, Mario, when he was that year he was All-American at Arkansas.
He couldn't do nothing with that African, bro. Couldn't do nothing with that African, dog. That number
who could?
He can't do nothing with African. I don't care how strong you are, dog.
Mario, and I'm gonna let Gio chime in. Tell me this, and what's your favorite moment? Just not even talking about as your team. What's your favorite moment of all in the NBA in your career?
And like I mentioned, the guys, and the rest of the crew, I'm a role player, proud role player. Being voted one of the top 10 Rockets in the last 30 years in 1997. It's Olajuwon, it's Drexler, it's Barkley, it's Calvin Murphy, it's Rudy T, it's Ralph Sampson. And I'm mentioning the same breath as these guys. That was a very humbling experience for me. Actually, that's what the fans think about me, which is that's why I still love Houston to this day. That's why when I still walk the streets here, they don't call me Mario, say kiss of death, kiss of death. That's what they say. So that probably was the pinnacle of my career when fans appreciate, okay, this dude's not a star, but we know what importance he brings to a team. So being on the stage with those elite players was pretty damn near. It was me and Sam Cassell with the rest of that group that was voted on, and I thought that was pretty neat. And I want to thank the fans of Houston for that. That means a lot to a guy who was a Division II player, a guy who was picked in the 7th round, 160th pick, the second last pick in the draft, a guy who ain't make it to the NBA till he's 27, you know, so and to end up being in that position, that was pretty neat. You know, I got the picture here. I got most of the guys signed it. I got to get Barkley and Ralph Sampson to finish signing that great picture. So that I'll have to say that was pretty neat.
Yeah, true. You know, true work ethic, and that's what shows a lot of kids these days. You know, I know we always mention it, the fact that these days it's always about how many likes you can get on social media, how many views you can get on social media. It just doesn't seem like people put the hard work in a lot of times. But, you know, obviously with Derek, with you making it to the NBA, it shows that hard work is really the only work you can do to get further in your career, whether it be basketball or anything. So again, appreciative for everything that you've done for San Antonio, for Houston as well. I'm not a hater. I'm a Spurs fan, yeah, but I'm not a hater. I know basketball. That's no bad about that.
Good to me. Hey.
What I'm gonna, before, I know Gio probably got one more question for you. We're gonna do some NFL picks. We got a guest celebrity pick here tonight. We're gonna have Mario pick some NFL games here. Gio's terrible at that, by the way, so we'll let him go last on that stuff. But no, I got to know something off the court here. So, San Antonio wise, give me your top 3 restaurants in San Antonio that you just loved.
San Antonio is a little different now. I haven't been there since '99.
We can go that far back. It doesn't matter. Now, I know for a fact Alvin Robertson was a big fan of Maggie's restaurant because I saw him there all the time when my mom worked there. So
when my second year I lived in the Dominion, I loved them Rudy sausages. Lordy B.
Rudy's out there.
Rudy's barbecue, yeah.
Rudy Stage Road out there. Rudy's still there, yeah.
It's still there.
I love Jay Alexander's at the Brownsville.
At the Quarry.
At the Quarry.
Yeah, that's still there.
Alexander. And I really haven't spent time off of 1604. I see they just built it up with a ton of nice upscale.
Oh, yeah.
So I haven't been able to go to that section of town. And it's great whenever time I go to San Antonio and see how it grows, man. I'm like,
yeah,
adding stuff there. So, and I see they want to get another arena downtown, which is pretty cool. So I usually spend most of my time downtown because I have to be near the arena for work.
Yeah.
I have to go out to 1604, but yeah, I didn't go out too much because people recognized us, especially after we won. I go out nowhere, so I'm like, let me get some takeout. All the restaurants I went there was pretty cool, you know. But like I said, I got to go out to 1604. I know they got a bunch of nice spots out there that I got to check out.
Hey, yeah. Gio, can I influence you to ask? Because I'm not going to ask him, let you ask. Can you ask about, we talked about the future of the league, the face of the league. Can you mention this guy, ask Mario, what do you think about our big fella down here?
So the face of the league, what do you think? What it's going to look like for Victor, I guess, in the next 5-10 years as he continues to obviously improve, get better? What do you see potentially?
Well, I think he's going to be a tremendous player. I would like him to see him get a little stronger because, I do a lot of scouting. I watch a lot of Spurs game, and it sort of frustrates me where small forwards can push Victor out to the three-point line. You can put a small forward on him. You don't have to put a center on him. It's strength-wise, but super skilled. And when I watch him warm up, he barely touches the paint. And that bothers me too. I know he wants to be a 7'3" Kevin Durant, but his effectiveness is around the hole. When he picks and rolls, there's nothing nobody can do. When you throw the lob to a 7'3" guy, and nothing nobody can do. He has some amazing stretches when I went to watch him a couple times. He did some amazing things. Love his feel for the game. Excellent passer. And I think with the addition of Chris Paul, Lord have mercy. Chris Paul will get a second life just throwing lobs to Big Wimpy, man. I mean,
Mario, what about though when they can't run the pick and roll? What about him as far as on the mid post area? At some point, isn't he gonna have to be able to face up and take that pounding when he's dealing with guys like Draymond that are gonna into his legs?
But my thing with him, if you're 7-3, do like Porzingis does on the switch. Just turn around and shoot over him. Why even fighting him? He has a nice touch. He has a nice little jumper. You 7-3, dude. Ain't nobody blocking that. Just down instead of trying to dribble. And plus, he's 7'3". That dribble is high. Guys,
he wants to be Steph Curry. That's the part I don't like.
Yeah. Just space him up. Like that's why I said what Porzingis does. He just when they switch on Porzingis, they ice him on the free throw line. Porzingis takes one dribble, turns around, and just shoots right over the guy. They're not blocking his shot. So I wish he would do that. Run the floor. When he runs the floor, he needs to try to deep post. That's when you try to deep post. Not in the half court where guys are banging on you. In transition, that's where you can get out and sort of catch it deep. Because once you catch it deep, there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing they can do.
Yeah, exactly.
What I love about him is he's an excellent defender as well. I mean, he covers a lot of freaking ground. I saw a clip on him maybe a couple of weeks ago. He blocked the shot, sort of stumbled out of bounds, got back in and blocked the shot again. Defensively, he's already elite defensively. Once that offense catches up with his defense, the league better watch out. And people gonna want to come play with Wemby.
Yep.
Good players want to come play with him. If I'm a player, good young player, like Trae Young was begging to come to San Antonio to play with him. So guys are gonna want to play with this big monster. He's gonna be a great player. I love the kid. San Antonio is a perfect spot for him. He's gonna get better and better. And look at the mentors you got. You got Tim, you got Dave, you got Mano, you got Tony. I mean, just great mentorship for that young man with that organization.
What about De'Aaron Fox, Mario, if he were to come? Because I've been telling these guys next year De'Aaron Fox is going to be a Spur. What would you think about him? Because Chris only going to play. I think this is Chris's last year, I believe, because I don't think he wants to. I think he wants to still while he can play a little bit, and hopefully he'll be healthy this year. But could you picture Wembanyama with De'Aaron Fox? Does that make them a better team?
Fox is interesting to me because I'm trying to see now because as we look at the point guards, they look at Steph, Dame, and Fox. Are they a prototypical point guards or are they prototypical scoring guards? You know,
scoring points. Yeah.
So to me, if Fox go to Spurs, Wemby the guy. He got to understand that he's second with the Kings. He's the number one guy. So the ball is in his hands and Sabonis' hands. I think the reason it works with him in sack because Sabonis does most of the decision making, right?
Yeah,
Fox is coming off these dribble handoffs, these spin downs. I would prefer a Stockton, Chris Paul, younger version with Wemby. You know what I'm saying? A guy, you gotta get him the ball. He's that guy. He's a number one guy. You know, and I don't know if Fox, all these other guys are scoring guards, but there's not too many of these type of guards like that.
We got a guy down here. But he'll be a rookie. I'm hoping that he's listening to you. Stephen Castle from Connecticut. I think he can be the type that's a point guard, a true point guard.
Yeah, and his size, dude's like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, about 6'5".
Yeah, Stephon Castle's going to be – it's going to be a good one.
That's why it's always hard for me to judge the top point guards. I mean, Tim Hardaway, I played with Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway, Damian Lillard, these guys to me are more scoring. Magic, Stockton, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Mark Jackson. Those were more the traditional point guards. So you got these like Halliburton. Is he a point guard? It's hard for me to judge some of these guys right now because I came up in there in '99 where we had point guards. Kevin Johnson give you 40, but he give you 18 assists as well. A lot of these guys are score. Give you high assist numbers.
Yeah, a point guard that Derek knows who my number one point guard is, who I copied my game after him, was one Mark Price, actually in Cleveland. I mean, everything about Mark's game I loved, 100% of. Step through, great pick and roll guy, just basketball IQ off the charts.
Mid-range.
Mike Fratello did a great job with him and Terrell Brandon up there in Cleveland.
Mhm.
Yeah, see, people don't talk about Terrell Brandon. There's another one.
Excellent mid-range. Didn't need the three. Even Mark Price was a great three-point shooter. Well, his mid-range was he had that wet piece, Mark Price, and he had the quick trigger too, dog. He was great. Boy, that boy was nice, man. Mark Price.
Oh yeah.
He's with Elo and Harper, and, Brad Daugherty, and
Larry Nance.
Prime Ron Harper that people don't know about.
and Harper was nice before the knee surgery. They don't know about surgeries, boy. So,
Yeah, it was amazing that those Cavalier teams they were always stacked in those days. And you
But
just
then-
saw to run into the Bulls.
stacked. Milwaukee was stacked. Chicago had MJ. Boston was stacked. You had a lot of Philly. You had a lot of good teams, man.
Even the Dallas Mavericks, they made a conference final one year. They were a stacked team as well. So many teams that nobody ever. The Atlanta Hawks. That team, the jumpers they had.
That's
The
another,
list goes on and on.
another guy who don't get his just was Dominique, man.
Dominique Wilkins.
And Dominique, he was in the 80s. We ain't even talking about athleticism. I'm like, shut the hell up.
Him and Kevin Willis and John Koncak.
Contact.
And a 6'5" point guard in Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers.
And we don't talk about 5'7" Spud Webb. Oh, I guess he's not that athletic, right? I guess he's not athletic.
Just a slam dunk champion is all he is.
Didn't miss a dunk either.
5'7", I guess he can.
Yeah, one thing we like to do, Mario, is we talk a lot of old NBA basketball. On this show, you'll get mentions of Rolando Blackman all the way to Robert Pack.
That's why I like to talk.
Jeff Malone.
Other backcourt, that Derek Harper, Rolando Blackman,
yeah.
Sam Perkins, Mark Aguirre. That's another guy.
Brad Davis. I
Brad
bet that
Davis
leaves
is
the road
another
like
one.
Brad Davis.
Yeah, Brad Davis pick you up full court with that energy.
Yeah. James Donaldson at center at the time, I believe, is what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, so many great, and that's what we love to preach, man. You got to go back and look at the NBA history.
Do your homework, man, about the game, man. Do your homework. A lot of great teams, man.
Oh yeah, tons of great teams. Well, we got a little bit of time left with Mario Elliott again. We appreciate him being here tonight on Sweep the League. We're going to end the show like we do on every Friday with our NFL pick'ems. Mario, I know you're going to probably get them all right. I'm going to have Gio not copy you at all because he does like to cheat on some of these picks here. So we'll make sure that he doesn't copy any of these picks when they're coming up right here. But we'll go down the list here. What we'll do is we'll just call a game. Just give us your winner on that. And then after that, we're going to be good to go. So we'll start off with Mario, celebrity guest picker here. You got the Bengals and the Panthers. Mario, who are you taking on this game?
Bengals are due.
Bengals. Gio.
They need to win. They need to get a W. If not, their coach is going to get fired. The Bengals found a way to win somehow, some way.
There you go, Derek.
Well, it's only 2.5%. You and I looked it up of teams that are 0-3 that make the playoffs. So this is a do or die for the Bengals. So without a doubt, they're overdue, and I'm taking the Bengals.
Bengals. See, I'm the only one on the Andy Dalton revenge tour here. So I'm going to take the Panthers to send the Bengals to 0-4 and basically into a vacation. So I'm going to take the Panthers on this one. Mario, Jets and Broncos.
I'm from New York. I'm a Giant fan. I guess I gotta, and I hate Aaron Rodgers. I don't believe in Bo Nix. I'll go with the Jets.
Going with the Jets. Gio?
Bo Nix, he was in college for 10 years, but in today's game, he's going to lose against the New York Jets. I just think they're just a better team at this point.
Derek, Jets and Broncos.
Well, I already told you, I think out of the 6 games, the Jets are at least 4-2. So I'm going Aaron Rodgers and the Jets for sure.
We're sweeping. It's going to be Jets along the way. Mario, Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, I mean, I'm hometown. I love Coach D'Amico Ryans. I love what they're doing. Jay Brown. I'm going with the Texans. With the
Riding with the Texans. Gio, Texans or Jags?
This is a tough one. Both teams looked pretty disappointing. I think the Bills, we can all agree, looked the worst. I mean, the Jags looked the worst last week. Give me the Texans. The Jags got to get it together, but I just think Texans play better. They won this week.
Derek, Texans, Jags.
Not even the question. The way Houston played, they got to make a statement this week. So I'm going Houston Texans.
Rams and Bears. We'll start with Mario on this one. Rams and Bears.
I'm a Sean McVay fan, man. I want Caleb to do well. And where are they playing? In Chicago or
Yes, sir. Soldier Field in Chicago.
Yeah, Matt Stafford's nice, man. I guess I got to go with the road team. I'm going with the Rams.
Rams. Coach Gio, Rams or Bears?
Well, the Rams are the Rams are my team, so I'm going with the Rams. I might be able to make the game. It's a few-hour drive to Chicago. But the Rams, after a big win against the 49ers, I think they continue. But Bears' defense is tough, though. Stafford will have some problems, but I think the Rams get it done.
Derek, Rams, Bears.
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to have to go Bears because I don't think they're going to go 1-16. And a lot of times people, they make these picks. And I think they forget that nobody's won 0-17 in a while. And I don't think they're going 1-16. I'm going to take the Bears in the upset.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Derek on that one. I'm going to go the Chicago Bears. Rams are pretty depleted right now, so it makes it a little bit tougher. Bears got a pretty good defense, so I'm taking the Bears. Vikings and Packers, Mario, in Lambeau Field.
You know what? I'm very happy for my man Sam Darnold. All the stuff he had endured, and I think it's the Sam Darnold revenge tour. And I think even if Jordan Love's come back, I don't think he's 100%. Big fan of the coach of the Packers, but Minnesota got something good brewing. I'm going with the Vikings.
Going with the Vikings. Coach Gio.
This is a tough one. Look, the Packers took care of the Titans last week. Something tells me that Sam Darnold might turn into old Sam Darnold. Give me the Packers at home this week.
Derek, Packers, Vikings.
What's that receiver the Vikings have? What's his name?
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think this is going to be the surprise of the year. The Vikings go 4-0. I'm taking the Vikings.
I'm taking the Vikings because not only did Justin Jefferson, we don't know, Chris Carter can suit up for this Vikings team and probably get a touchdown with Sam Darnold under center. Saints and Falcons. Mario Ellie, Falcons and Saints here.
Where are they playing?
They are playing in Atlanta, where the Chick-fil-A is going to be closed again in Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I was disappointed in that the Saints game against the Cowboys. I know I work for the Saints, but man, Atlanta, they cheated them against Kansas City. That should have been a pass first. You know what? I'm going with Atlanta. I think Atlanta got something.
Going with the Falcons. Coach Gio, Falcons and Saints.
This is a tough one. The Falcons got robbed last week. They should have called that pass interference in the red zone, and you know that, Derek.
Yeah, I agree.
The Saints didn't look great. Give me the Falcons at home. They got something, and I think they might continue it, but should be a good game, though.
Derek, Falcons, Saints.
I think at some point they're going to start questioning Derek Carr. We know the history of Derek Carr, and I know they struggled last week. I like Kirk Cousins. I'm going to take Atlanta. Rudy, that's your team. I told you. I like Bijan and those guys. I'm taking the Falcons.
Right.
We are taking I'm going to take the Falcons, and yes, I'm a Falcon fan, but they've got the NFL Hall of Fame coming around now, and still no Tommy Nobis in the Hall of Fame. You are ashamed, the NFL. We got to get Tommy Nobis in there, Mr. Falcon.
San Antonio.
Mario, Eagles and Buccaneers here.
Ooh. So are both receivers out for the?
As of right now, Devontae Smith is out, and I believe A.J. Brown is still out. If not, he's doubtful, so more than likely he's out.
Where are they playing?
They are playing in Tampa Bay, in Tampa Bay.
Baker, man, I mean, he be looking good some weeks. You know what? I gotta go. I'll go Buccaneers because I don't think Saquon could and the quarterback Jalen Hurts can do it.
Gio, Bucks and Eagles.
This is a tough one. No, the Eagles lost against the Bucks in the postseason last year when the Eagles fell apart. Give me the Eagles. I just think they're a better team. Baker, as Mario said, man, he plays good, and then he has these kind of stinkers. But give me the Eagles on the road at Tampa.
Buccaneers, Eagles, Derek.
I think the Eagles have a defense that can confuse Baker Mayfield, so I'm gonna take the Eagles.
At home, I'm taking the Bucks. The Eagles' wide receiver core is pretty depleted. I think Baker does enough. All they got to do is stack the box against Saquon, and they should be good. Give me the Buccaneers at home.
Hey, Rudy.
Yes, sir.
You know the Eagles is kind of like, I'm not saying they like Kansas City, but you know the Eagles are one of those teams just find a way to stay in the game and win a game at the end. That's why I'm taking them.
Yeah, I mean, they do. But at home, and then, like I said, kind of like the Rams situation, depleted wide receiver core, I just like the Bucks in this one right here. Steelers and Colts, Mario, they're going to be playing in Indianapolis for here.
Yeah, I'm a big Tomlin fan. I'm very happy for Justin Fields. That TJ Watt, man, that Pittsburgh defense. Long as Justin Fields don't make no mistakes, and I think Richardson, he runs too much.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go with the Steelers. I'm going with the Steelers.
Colts, Steelers, Gio.
This is a tough one for me. I'm going with the upset this week. I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts.
Derek, Colts, Steelers.
The Steelers, I know they're undefeated, but they've only scored 51 points in 3 games. I'm going with the upset. I think the Colts are overdue.
I'm taking the Steelers. I can't bet against them at 3-0, and Anthony Richardson just looks terrible, man. So I'm taking the Steelers. Patriots and Niners, Mario, it's going to be in Santa Clara.
Mm-hmm. Was Purdy banged up?
Not really, no. No, they should be getting George Kittle back. Debo's out. Obviously, McCaffrey's out. And Ayuk had a little bit of an issue at practice, so I don't know if that's going to affect him today, but he should be playing.
Yeah, Patriots don't got enough offense. You got Purdy, you get Kittle back, you got Ayuk. I just think San Francisco got too much for New England. I'll go with the Niners.
Niners. Gio, Niners or Patriots?
Even if the game was in Oakland, the 49ers would still win. 49ers.
49ers. Derek?
Experience wins. I'm going 49ers.
Man, if this was my birthday, I would pray for a birthday gift and a birthday wish happen. I'm going with the Patriots on this one. I think the Patriots come in with Kobe Brissett. I don't know. It just has a bad feeling that it's going to be a bad weekend for the 49ers. I'm sorry. I picked them.
As a Rams fan, I hope you're right, Rudy. But as kind of a realist, I find it hard to believe that Patriot team we saw last week. But as Rudy could be onto something, from week to week, teams look very different. We saw the Panthers look like a Super Bowl team last week.
Exactly. Commanders and Cardinals, Mario, it's going to be played in Glendale.
Wow. Man, look good. I don't think the rookie going to get it done on the road. I think Kyler and them going to get it done. Great offense.
Taking the Cardinals. Gio, Cardinals, Commanders.
This is tough one. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. Both quarterbacks like to run. I think the Cardinals' defense is better than the Commanders. Give me Arizona.
Derek, Cards and Commanders.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kyler Murray, man. It's hard for me, but I'm going to go with Kyler Murray.
Clean sweep. We're all taking the Cardinals. Mario, Browns and Raiders in Nevada. And no Devontae Adams.
Browns. You know what? I'm going with the home. O'Neal Pierce called this team out. They can't do nothing but come out and hoop. And I'm not a fan of Deshaun Watson as well. So I'm going with the Raiders.
Going with the Raiders. Gio, Raiders and Browns.
Browns have been disappointing. Deshaun has been disappointing. I think somehow the Raiders found a way to win even with Adams out this week. They got Brock Bowers, so give me the Raiders. The Browns, it just look terrible lately.
Browns and Raiders, Derek.
I'm going to say the Browns make a big play defensively that wins the game. We know Deshaun has been stinking it up, but I think Cleveland's overdue, and I think their defense is going to win this.
I'm taking the Raiders in this one. We've got a couple more games left. Chiefs and Chargers. The lucky Chiefs are going into California to play the Chargers. Mario, what are we looking on this one?
Man, Jim Harbaugh go work his magic. Chiefs don't gonna run out of luck. They've been stinking it up and they're getting help from the refs. It's time. They talk about to run out. It's Sandy. I'm going with Jim Harbaugh with the upset.
Harbaugh with the upset. Gio?
Give me Patrick Mahomes. They found a way to win last week by hook or crook, but give me the Chiefs this week against Chargers. Depending on the quarterback situation, we'll see.
Oh, man. Chiefs, Chargers, Eric.
Man, the Chiefs been getting by on the hair on their chin, and I think they're going to do it again. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs.
I'm going to take the Chargers, and I'm going to go with the penalty finally gets called on Kansas City this weekend. So, yeah, the NFL is going to make do right on that. So, I'm going to give me the Chargers to win. Bills and the Ravens would have been a really good matchup, but the Ravens look very terrible right now. Mario, they're going to Baltimore to play this game, Bills and Ravens.
Josh Allen established himself as the MVP of the NFL this going into Baltimore and outdoing Lamar Jackson. I'm going with the Buffalo. Nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo. With the Bills, baby. New York.
Down for Buffalo. Gio, Buffalo and Ravens.
I think the Bills are flying high, and I think somehow Lamar Jackson and the Bills go in there, or I think it's home for the Ravens. If they run like they did, it's going to be hard for Josh Allen to get the ball. Give me the Ravens this week, upset.
Ravens on the upset. Derek, I kind of know where you're going. Bills and Ravens.
I'm going to surprise you. You know, Buffalo's my favorite team other than my Detroit Lions, but I think this is desperation time for Lamar and his team, and they're fighting for their coach's job. So I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big night, and I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens for the upset. I'm
taking the Bills. MVP Allen is just going to continue to steamroll through the league until someone can stop him. I don't.
Hey, Rudy, nobody's going 17-0. I already told you. That's what I'm basing it off of.
No, nobody's going 17-0. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, I don't like the Ravens this year right now. I haven't liked them even in preseason. I said they would be terrible. So
Me either. They just they have more to play for right now. I think Josh is headed towards MVP, but I think this is do or die for the Ravens.
Yeah, definitely. Monday night has a doubleheader. We've got a sleepy yawn type of first game in the Titans and the Dolphins. No Tua, obviously. Mario, they're going to Florida to play this game. Nobody's getting excited about this game, but we'll try to get excited for this game. Titans and Dolphins.
I can't put my money. We're always throwing it to the other team. I'm going with it on the ugly.
Yeah, taking the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Gio, Dolphins and Titans.
Well, the Dolphins quarterback look absolutely terrible. Was it Shaq Thompson or something like that? Who's the quarterback for the Dolphins? I don't even know who's going to be playing. Give me the Dolphins. They got the speed. Hopefully they can get the ball to their best players, even the Dolphins, because Tennessee is another team that always finds a way to lose games.
Titans and Dolphins, Derek?
Tyreek Hill's playing, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna go Dolphins.
We're gonna go with the clean sweep. I'm taking the Dolphins. Last game of the night before we end the show here: Seahawks against the Detroit Derek Lions in Detroit. Mario, where are we going with this one?
I mean, I don't know what Jared Goff we gonna get, but I like the Smith story. I think they're gonna go in there and shock Detroit. I think Seattle gonna go in there and shock. I'm sorry, D.
Taking Seattle.
Yep.
Taking Seattle there, Gio. Seattle Lions.
Well, as a Rams fans, I don't like the Seahawks, and I also don't like the Lions as they've been beating up on us. Give me Detroit this week. I think they'll be the better team. Derek,
Lions and Seahawks.
Man, I'm born in Detroit. I think Seattle's been surprising a lot of people, though. But I'm going to take the Lions. I think Jared Goff's overdue for a good game, and our offense hasn't been playing very well. But I think this week we finally get off the snide, as they say. And I'm going to take the Lions.
I have Seattle as a top 8 team in the league right now, but I don't think they get it done in Detroit this week. I think I'm going to take the Lions for the win on that one. But overall, I do appreciate Mario Elie for joining us here on Sweep the League tonight. Mario, it's been a pleasure, sir. All the stories we shared with you on basketball, the stories you shared with us, we wish you the best of luck. We know you're working with the New Orleans Pelicans right now. So, again, we wish you the best of luck. Were you ever back into San Antonio, definitely contact Derek. I mean, love to catch up with you, sir, and, talk some more hoops whenever we can.
The 12th for preseason. Saturday the 12th, I think they play the Rockets. So I'll be in San Antonio.
There you go.
Mario, did you know Jaron's here, right?
I didn't know that. Is he coaching?
Jaron's coaching here. He's coaching at Incarnate Word College. He's an associate head coach.
Okay, I gotta make sure I holler at him when I come in.
Sweet. Yeah, whenever you are.
And
whenever you're.
Hey, I'm telling you this to you. Hey, man, I'm really happy that you came on the show. Pleasure. I think you wanted to. They talk about role players, right? And you say how the role players don't get their credit. Well, you're a guy that I'm giving all the credit in the world. And to see you come from where you came, you made NBA 27, took me to 26, but we both persevered. And I think you're a better person off the court than on the court. So I appreciate you sincerely.
No problem, fam. We came from the same bread. I always credit to CBA for getting me where I am. All of us, John Starks, Anthony Mason, the list goes on and on.
Rest in peace, Anthony, my guy with the Nets.
Right. Good man.
It's I mean, a brilliant career, Mario, again, from everybody here in San Antonio, across the NBA. Appreciate what you've done for the San Antonio Spurs. Appreciate the first NBA title that you really helped us win here in San Antonio, and all the great things you do for the guys in the NBA. I mean, again, you are talked about as one of the best role players in the game, but also one of the best persons in the game as well. So appreciate you joining us here for Sweep the League. Love to talk to you again sometime again. Probably after the season is done, we can get you back on the show here. But again, from Derek, from Coach Joe, from myself, appreciate everything you've done for us and appreciate you for joining us tonight, sir.
Just check back in with me right before the playoffs so we can break down like a playoff segment, all right? Once the season's over, go ahead and email me. We'll chop it up and talk about the matchups in the playoffs. That'll be a lot of fun.
We will do that for sure. This is Mario Elie, 3-time NBA champion. For Derek Gervin, for Coach Gio, for Mario Elie, this is Rudy Campos Jr. Until we sweep the league again next week, we'll see everybody later, knuckleheads.
Everybody have a good night. Stay safe.
Good night, guys. Thank you for having me.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this for the family. Loyalty, respect, honor. You know what it is. STL Music. Let's get it. We the ones, never folded on ourselves, no bluffing. Legacy we building, man, this ain't up for discussion. They wanted us to quit, but we dug in deep. Motivated to the fullest, dreams ain't meant for sleep. On the grind 24/7, no time for rest. We making moves, calculated.